What's going on, beautiful people? So I posted in one of the groups the other day a little meme, and it said something along the lines of, a client is more likely to become a friend than a friend is to become a client. And I anticipated it was going to be a favorable post, but it was exceedingly favorable. I think we were almost up to 200 likes and close to 30 shares, something along those lines, when last I checked. So I got a fun little story for you. I figured I'd throw this one out there and, you know, just kind of give you a little bit of insight into how this business operates. So I have done quite a few jobs for friends. I've done quite a few jobs for acquaintances. I've done quite a few jobs for people that are friends of friends. I've done plenty of jobs for people totally outside of my network, and, you know, fresh calls off of Google from a random, you know, internet search halfway across the county. So in my experience, I say a lot of things that aren't actually reality. I do oftentimes give a little bit of discount to friends. I do even, you know, like close family, friend, acquaintance people, might even help them out a little bit. I, generally speaking, only do my discounts on the back end, but occasionally I'll do them on the front end. But I might take something away from the rental all at the same time. So for example, my wife's cousin, not really close, but relatively, you know, close family, needed to get some leaves cleaned up out of the yard the other day. I reduced my 20-yard 2 tons to a 1-ton limit, and then booked them the can. So stuff like that, I will oftentimes do some version of a discount, but a lot of times it ends up biting me in the ass. So for example, with the leaves, I never anticipated, but 20 yards of leaves was literally 2 tons. So normally I would just bill after the fact, but I didn't do a very good job of explaining that up front. And honestly, I would just rather be a little less profitable on that one job than have this like weird family thing, you know? So in the future, I'll make sure to book that correctly and explain things a little more in depth to them. But that was one that I just ultimately am going to take on the chin. The story that I really wanted to get into. So this was one of, if not the most, just really burned me. It just really, to this day, over a year later, still just super annoyed by how it all went out. So I worked for quite a few car dealerships in my life, but I worked for a car dealership at the end of my last W-2 job, right? So before I started doing this full time, I did many positions, but ultimately I was a salesperson most of my career. And in sales, there is a position above you that would be the finance manager. So they're the person that does all the contracts when you buy your new car. And then above the finance manager would be the finance director. Now, finance managers, before you get to the management position, are some of the highest paid people on the dealership. They are the highest paid position outside of the, you know, like singular positions, the general sales manager or the general manager, stuff like that. As far as like employee obtainable money comes, finance managers, they're that guy. So the finance director, I won't name him by name. Finance director is someone I worked with for over a year. He had been doing either finance or finance director position for over 20 years. And to give you an idea of what these guys make, on the low end, it's probably $150,000 a year. On the, well, not on the high end. There are some dealerships that you might be a millionaire working in a finance position. But realistically, the dealership level I was at, on the high end, probably $250,000, $300,000 a year. So really, really well paid position. These guys can, you know, wipe their butt with money, and it's not a big deal. So finance director, not someone I go grab beers with, but someone who I, very regularly have conversations with. We even entertained the conversation of me going into finance under his leadership at one point. And I had already begun my step out the door at the car dealership, but I wasn't quite there yet. So we were in this a little bit of gray area where, I wasn't exactly the favorite employee because of some of the things I was doing on my way out the door. I just wasn't very focused at all in my job there. And, they didn't like it. They were, it's kind of one of those hoping to get me fired back up because I am good at what I do. But at the same time, it is what it is. Anyway, so finance director calls me up. I'm on paternity leave. We had just had my son. I'm still running dumpsters. So calls me up, says, hey, some stuff happened. I got to get my mother-in-law moved out of her house. So I need a dumpster and I need it ASAP. Can you help me out? I believe she had a stroke, something along those lines. So I said, absolutely. You tell me what you need. I'm going to make it happen. So he asked me what the price was. I, at the time, had 3 price points for 3 dump trailers. All of them included 1 ton, but essentially it was a 12-yard, a 15-yard, and a 20-yard. 12 was $275, 15 was $300, 325 was my 20. So same amount of weight included in all 3 trailers, but I would charge just a little bit more for the size. My prices have gone up quite a bit. I was a little too low, but this was when I was first getting started. I was trying to drum up business. So I happened to have my 20 and my 12 on hand. My 15 was out at the time. So he hit me up. He said, what's the prices? I said, well, my 12-yard is $275, includes 1 ton. My 20-yard is $325, includes 1 ton. But to help you out, I'll just drop you my 20-yard or whatever. You book whatever you want, and I'll drop the 20 there. Help you guys out, get some stuff out of the house, right? So in my head, I'm thinking, super wealthy dude, makes considerably more money than me. We're in a, relatively friendly relationship, and I just had a baby. He's gonna book my 20-yard rate, and I'm gonna drop my 20-yarder. Nope. First thing he does, oh, so $275, I can get your 20-yard can? Sure, right? So I was a little disappointed in it, but whatever. So right up the road, I dropped the can. He, super grateful, super thankful. I literally dropped it at like 8 o'clock at night, which is probably the latest drop I've ever done in my life. So they could get started the following morning. The next day, they go through, fill it up. Halfway through the day, he says, hey, dumpster's full, go ahead and dump it. So I drive over there, I grab the dumpster. His wife and her sisters are all there at the house. Super grateful, very nice, very appreciative. Kind of stacked up a little bit above the 20-yard mark, but, whatever. I'm new to this. It's not that inconvenient. It's right down the street from the landfill. I'm helping out a friend, Didn't make a big deal out of it. She asks me, hey, can you dump this and bring it back? We still have more stuff to do, right? So he's working at this point. His wife has asked me to dump the bin and bring it straight back. So I dump the bin, bring it straight back, right? So after I take it the first time and bring it to the dump, I realize the bin that they had filled up the first time was 2 tons roughly. So I charged for the extra tonnage. I charged for the extra rental. Everything's hunky-dory. I drop off the can. So they're now on their 2nd rental. They had now been charged something like 3 and change, almost 400 bucks after the tonnage, the rental, and tax. So Robert, the next morning, texts me and he goes, hey, what's this? The $400-something charge on his card. And I said, oh, your wife didn't tell you. I just figured she had gone over it with you, but she asked me to get her another rental out there. So he goes, you charged my card? And I was confused at this point because I had charged every card of every customer that ever had a bill. I had never received a complaint. So he's upset. He says, "You charged my card?" I said, "Yeah, you know, I wasn't, you know, your wife said she wanted another rental." He goes, "Yeah, but I didn't give you permission to charge my card." And I said, "Robert, I mean, I'm not even trying to flex on you, but you did when you signed my contract. That's what my contract is for. You know, it goes through my terms and conditions. It tells you exactly how this process goes." And this man, mind you, a man making over $250,000 a year, who has been doing that for over 2 decades, told me that he was considering disputing the charge on his card. And I was so taken back by that, not just because the thought of a discrepancy on the merchant side of things was going to come up, but the fact that of all the people on the planet that I was running into this issue with was him. And I said, I don't understand what else. Okay, so let's say you weren't expecting me to charge the card. I should have given you a text, courtesy text. What is the issue here? Like, I mean, your wife is able to speak on behalf of your household, right? You know, like, she can tell me to rent it. Should I disrespect your wife? And she, you know, asks me for something. I go, "Sorry, ma'am, I'm gonna have to check with the head of household. Let's get with Mr. Moneybags and figure out who's paying for this, because clearly you're not capable of making these few $100 decisions." You know, I was so in shock by it. So, long story short, he's pissy. We get off the phone. He's not talking about disputing the charge anymore. He's just being a, you know, not nice person. I hate having to censor myself on YouTube. So he's upset. We get off the phone. You know, a little bit goes by, and I'm just sitting in my emotions and my thoughts, just going, you know, what could I have done different other than send him a heads up text, right? Like, I could have sent him a heads up text, but I don't understand. So I text him. I said, "Hey, you know, I really hope that this doesn't hurt our relationship in the long run. You know, I didn't change my process for you that I did for anyone else that I've been renting to over this last, I think it was probably 6-7 months at that point. So I'm sorry that I offended you, but I didn't overcharge you or anything. I just literally charged you what it would cost to get a second dumpster to the house, and my terms allow me to charge your card. So I've not run into any issues with this. I'm sorry. But in the future, you know, I can give you a heads up or anything like that." So he's just being not a friend at this point. You know, he's a heat case customer. So I don't really know what to do about it. So I just kind of accept it. It is what it is. And I chalk it up to, you know, a little bit of a loss on the friendship side of things. But, you know, ultimately, I got 2 dumpster rentals out of it. I'm working on quitting this job anyway, so you're not really gonna affect my life much at that point. And 2 hours or so goes by, and I get another text from his wife asking me for a 3rd dumpster. So I just hysterically crack up laughing on the inside, like, what do I even do with this? So I called her up. I said, "Hey, last conversation I just had with Robert wasn't a very good one. He's not real happy. I'm not about to just go pick up this dumpster and do another swap and charge your card. So I'm going to end up sending out another agreement if you guys want to rent a dumpster, and he's going to sign it. And I want to talk to him and hear him say yes, that he's fine with doing it." So I text him and I gave him the heads up. Said, "Hey, your wife just asked me to do this, yada, yada. How do you want to proceed?" So this man, long story short, continued to book dumpsters 3 and dumpsters 4 from me after telling me that he was going to dispute dumpster 2. I have not spoken with him since the 4th dumpster. I never received a thank you. And ultimately, I did all 4 dumpsters at the price of my 12-yard. So I, give or take, somewhere in the realm of $200 to $400 of discounts that he shouldn't have received because he was an ungrateful beep that I gave him. So I have taken, I have a saying that it's not, I don't stick to it 100% of the time, but it's a fun thing to joke about. Treat your clients like family. Do it for free or do it for full price, period. That's the moral of the story. Because if you do something for free, no one can complain about it. And at the end of the day, you don't have any obligation to do anything for that person. If you choose not to go do it that day, you're doing it for free. What can they say? If you charge full price, you give them the exact same service as every other person. You're not mad, and they're either not mad because they booked, or they are mad and they didn't book and they went on to someone else. And quite frankly, it is so much nicer not dealing with anyone you know, because the people that know you best and expect discounts are probably not genuinely good friends anyway. Good friends book your service no matter what the price point is. There's so many people that I will just send them the link to my website to see if they book before they ask me any discount questions. Those are the good people you want in your life. If you can just have a price for a service and someone asks you about said service and you can send them that link and they just book it, good friend to keep around. The people that won't book it and will ask you about, can you do it for this price, or it's better to just move on. It's better to keep a happy relationship that you don't do business with than to do business with someone who's gonna either A, hold it against you, or B, just be salty about it the whole time and just make the process miserable. So, long story short, don't chase discounts and try to earn your friends and family business. Quite frankly, you don't want to do it. When I was selling cars, I would avoid selling to anyone that I knew. Unless it was like, if I truly love that person, then I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to get the discount. And the reality is, even in those situations, people always think that you can get more discount, right? Which is really unfortunate. So at any rate, I hope that helps some people out. There's definitely a lot of scenarios in which you're gonna run into weird situations with whether you do or don't think you should or shouldn't give a discount. Go with your gut, but generally speaking, just do the discounts on the back end. If you hold all the discounts for when everything is finished, it is a lot easier for you to dictate how much money you do or don't make in that scenario. If you give them the discount on the front end, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose whatever that amount of money is. So until the next one, guys, stay hauling and mauling. Have a good one.